All right, I'll kick things off.
Yes. What do you have to say?
I want to say something about paid family and medical leave. And where I stand on these issues is sort of where I come from. Everybody knows that I come from somebody who started up a business, come from the world of small business. And I know it's a very different background and perspective than what I hear in this building. I can tell you, when I was running my business and I was competing with Verizon and AT&T and these companies that had these really nice benefits, and I was competing like heck to make sure each and every one of the folks that worked for me knew I valued them, knew I wanted them to stay there, and they stayed. And as I thought over the campaign the last couple of years and began hearing more about paid family and medical leave, I thought as a business person, this is just the type of program I could have used when I was running my business. What it did was it allowed me to provide a really good, important benefit to people that needed it. And come on in, everybody's still coming in, I guess. And it also meant that the person who worked for me, that single mom, wouldn't have to choose between a job she loved and a child she loved if that child got sick. I really think it was the right thing to do, and I'm putting my shoulder to the wheel to get this passed. It wasn't a political thing during a campaign. It's something I believe in. I think it's in the best interest of the employee, and it's the best interest of small business. But I also think, coming from my life as a business person, I'm going to do things in the most efficient way possible. I want to do big, bold, progressive things, but sometimes I do them in a conservative way, in a way that gives the taxpayers a high degree of confidence that we know what we're doing and that we take their tax dollars seriously. And we've been negotiating in good faith with legislature about paid family for some time, and I don't think we're there. And I was really surprised to see they're running the bill in the state Senate. And what I've learned about this bill gives me real pause. To me, we are starting up a $400 million company, a big new insurance program. And the idea that it's going to be led by this top-heavy bureaucracy, it's 13 or 15 people, you need a supermajority to get anything passed. Anybody can have a veto, or a minority can have a veto. 4 months notice for all the amendments, or it just looks like it's not a recipe for success to me. And I'm going to put my name on a really important bill that can make a difference in people's lives. I'm going to make sure it's something that works. So this is not a bill that I will support. And if we need more time to do it, maybe we do that in the special session as well. Some people say, Gov, you are rushing us into doing something on tolling. Well, I feel like you're rushing into this new $400 million program. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it right.
So
And that's what I wanted to say.
To be clear, you're saying you're going to veto it?
I would veto the bill as currently written.
But what's your problem with it? Is it just the idea?
No, Mark, I said months ago, I want to make sure that we can run this thing in the most high-quality, efficient way possible. If that's DOL, that's great. If that's one of the private carriers that are already providing paid family and medical in places like New York, that's great too. I want to do it in the most efficient way possible. And right now, I look at this top-heavy board, and I'm not sure we'd be able to get there.
So that's your only problem. I mean, as far as the half a point payroll tax and the 12-week, all that other stuff is okay.
I think we're good on that. We're good on that.
Fine.
And I've given the taxpayers some guarantee that if this thing is off and they miscalculated, we would not raise that payroll rate. It stays at 50 basis points. The upper end benefits would go down. We've negotiated that. That all makes sense. But I think right now, with this top-heavy bureaucracy, it doesn't give us the best chance at success.
Private carriers in the out-of-state, that's basically what the Republicans are proposing. Are you open to their plan?
Somebody said they threw something out an hour or so ago, which I got to confess I haven't seen it, but we did talk yesterday.
It's nothing close to this itself. It's a recommendation.
Well, one of the things that was absurd about it, at least based on the conversations I had, was let's make it optional. Obviously, that doesn't work in insurance. I mean, everybody's got to be in this. It's not like, hey, I may need paid family. Now let me sign up for this program. So it doesn't work, but I got to take a look at it. It's a last-minute rush.
Okay, can we focus a little bit on your concerns about the bill? The Senate says they're gonna run. So there's a board that, as I read that amendment, the board has a lot of flexibility to go to the private sector, to bring in whomever they deemed sensible to run this program. Is that your sense, and what do you want to see differently? Is it just the makeup of the board? Do you think the executive should have more control over it, for example? Or is it a question of wanting language in the amendment that says they shall do certain things as far as private administration?
Look, I don't want to negotiate it right now, but what I can tell you is 13 to 15 people, supermajority, minority can, veto, stop anything dead in its tracks is probably not a recipe for success. And I'd like to see a smaller group with decision-making authority that allows this thing to move forward. I want it to be a process that gives the privates as well as the public. This is an honest, transparent process. You have an honest opportunity to bid on this.
What's the communication between you and the leadership if the bill is already out there and you've had these concerns? And have they heard those concerns and ran with it anyway, or can you talk a little bit about that?
We talked about it yesterday with the leadership on both sides of the aisle, and I was a little surprised that they're running with the bill this quickly. I think we needed another round of negotiations to make sure it's done in a way that works. Right now, I don't think it's going to work. I don't want to be governor in 3 years saying we're still working on paid family leave. We're still trying to figure out these 3 modules. We don't have a majority on them. Let's get a process going where we can get this up and operating in a couple of years.
Well, can you explain to us then what you would like to see? What is the administrative structure that you would like to see?
When I thought we were going to have an RFP and, DAS and maybe a couple other commissioners, maybe somebody appointed by, folks in the legislature, a small streamlined group that would give people confidence. A simple majority would be able to make a decision. This is the best way to get paid family medical leave implemented. I think that was a little more what I had in mind rather than this process, which could go on for a long time.
If they pass it, Senate, they wouldn't be bringing it up if they didn't have the votes. If it passes in the Senate and the House, you say you'll veto it. So maybe we address it in the special session. Those are some of your words. So they could modify it, and that could be also part of the call for this full special session? Is that what you're saying?
Look, I want paid family medical leave to pass, but I want it to pass in a way that works. If we can do it on a timely basis and gives the taxpayers confidence that their money, those insurance dollars are being well invested. If we can do that now, that's fine. My hunches, we're running a little out of time. I heard, the Speaker of the House call for a special session. That gives us a little more breathing room to get this right.
What did
Was
the,
there miscommunication during these negotiations? Was there miscommunication that your position didn't get communicated correctly, or is the Senate Democrats not believing that your position is the right position and just going forward?
I don't know. We've had communication going. We've had negotiations going. People know pretty clearly where I stand on this. I was the one person early on who said I want to make sure a public or a private has the right to bid on this in an efficient way to make sure we get this done with the best value for the taxpayers.
what did the Senate Dems say to you when you told them that you would veto it? Did they tell you that we're going forward with it no matter what?
No, they didn't say that, but I think my conversations with them are private.
What about
Well,
the solvency of the fund? Do you have concerns about that with the 0.5% payroll deduction? Would that even be enough to make sure it's viable going forward?
Well, 2 things on solvency. One, we're doing this big, important $400 million insurance program, so it does take a lot of sophistication to make sure that we're doing it right. I tend to think that somebody maybe has done it before, has an advantage being able to do that. And 3, we did set out some parameters that we're not raising that payroll tax rate, even if we find that some of the actuarial assumptions weren't quite right. So I think we've addressed that. We're trying to address that in a serious way.
When it comes to the board that would oversee this, is it only that it's unwieldy, or is it a question of control? I mean, it's been clear that the major difference between you and the Democratic legislators is this issue of the role of the private sector. So is your concern that this is a board that they've constructed that would not pursue that you would not have sufficient input to make sure that happened?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's A, incredibly unwieldy, and B, Paz, when, any 1/3 or whatever it is of the folks on there can veto, it's the type of board that probably discourages a lot of folks from really wanting to bid into a process like that. I've bid on, let's say, 1,000 different projects over the years. Just maybe not the type of situation I'd want to run into myself.
Back partially to Christine's point, in other words, when you were negotiating this with the Dems, were they not hearing you? I'm just not clear where we went off the rails here.
I just think we're rushing this too much right now. I think we're a little further apart than maybe we thought we were, but the point is, right now, this is a bill that I cannot support and will not support. It doesn't mean we can't get there. It doesn't mean we can't get there in the next week, or more likely get there in the next month.
Well, I mean, does it mean that the quasi-public, they're saying, okay, this meets the governor's parameters, but you seem to be saying, no, on its face, it perhaps looks like it does, but what I'm hearing is you're saying no. In how it would work in practice, it would not. Is that fair?
That's fair.
To wrap up on this and switch off topics.
Yeah.
Are we really done with this? I mean,
You want to comment on the draft proposal you released yesterday, many of the things that we've heard over the last few weeks, and how confident are you that you can get something even in a special session now?
This is on tolls now?
Yeah.
I just saw the Republican proposal again, said let's borrow 375. We said we needed 700 million, but let's borrow 375 and study it. And to me, that was just typical politics and a real cop-out. But I didn't want anybody to use as an excuse, we don't have enough information to cast a vote. Sue, I mean, you know my feeling on this. It's the most important thing we can do as a state to get this state growing again, expanding again. Every business, every labor leader knows what it is. And I just don't want the legislature to come up with a half-baked solution that tries to delay a hard decision. I want them to decide. I hope they decide to give us the best opportunity to get this state moving again, which is a reliable, predictable revenue stream to do it. And if they want to come back, they want to do a little borrowing, they want to do some tolling or gas, something that gets this thing going, but it's got to be real. And I haven't heard anybody come up with a real alternative to what I've proposed.
On FMLA, did you personally communicate your plan to veto this to the Senate leadership, or did your staff? Or has it been communicated, I should say?
I surely said I wasn't going to support it.
You said that to whom?
Everybody.
Can you just give us, I mean, was that a phone call? Was that in a face-to-face meeting?
I think people knew that I was not going to support this. My staff has relayed that. We did have some meetings that are staying private with, the leadership.
But you want to see an RFP to see if one of the insurance companies, either here or someplace, would like to administer this. Is that right? Could you put that in your own words? Is that what, am I putting words in your mouth, or is that what you want?
I want to make sure it's a process where we invite the best and the brightest to bid on this. Folks who have done it before, be they out of the private sector, public sector, DOL, let's have a fair process, let's take a look, and let's give the taxpayers a great deal of confidence that this brand new $400 million program is operating the way it's supposed to operate.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but on the question of the communication back and forth, my understanding is there were still talks going on yesterday about final version of the bill. Is that correct?
All I can tell you, Paz, is I was really surprised to see that the Senate ran with this bill that we didn't sign off on.
Do you think paid FMLA is in jeopardy now? Or is this just a family squabble that needs to get straightened out?
No, we're going to straighten it out. It's an important bill that I believe in. It makes a difference for the state, makes a difference for those parents, single parents, and it makes a difference for small business. But you got to do it in a way that makes sure the taxpayers have confidence we're doing it right. There's a lot of skepticism about government running programs. I hear that wherever I go. And I'm going to do everything I can to make this bold, new item something that people have confidence we're getting right.
And would you ever countenance a tax or fee on employers to program and pay for these anticipated benefits?
No. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Good to see you guys.
Hey, kind of wait and see Mike's
Yeah.
question, I thought I had a better one than I did. Chris?
I think you got the best response.